Okay, let's get started. We're here to talk about a brand new service called Amazon Personalize. How many of you saw the Jassy keynote today? Okay, great. You probably saw it announced this morning, and we're obviously super excited, particularly because personalization is one of our key tenets that Amazon has had from day one. For all the people who've been here in the Valley, at least, or in technology for the last 20 years, you probably all remember the time when Amazon first started, right? And the coolest thing about Amazon for me was related items. Remember that? And the reason it was so cool was you would go buy a book, and then you would look at this other book, and you're like, oh, I want that book too. And that's how Amazon took off. And right now, it's a $1 trillion company, but the roots were just right there, like it's a bookstore, which was doing recommendations. And now, over 20 years, we've obviously developed fantastic technology, or technology that we are proud of, and we want to give to you guys, AWS customers. So today, we'll just talk you through this new service. I'm also very excited to have with us two of our beta customers, people who've been at least trying out Amazon Personalize and have some feedback about it, as well as would like to talk to you guys about their experiences. We have Domino's, and we have RB Media, who are going to do a couple of presentations at the end of this presentation. Finally, we'll do something in between here. We have our chief ML scientist, Murali, who's actually worked at Amazon retail for some time. I believe he's been here been at Amazon for more than 3 years. And he will talk to you about some of the algorithms that we've packaged as part of this service. So which of you actually use recommendations as part of your job in your particular company right now? Probably everyone, right? If you have any kind of product which has users, consumers, end users, not enterprise users, you want to personalize that experience. And personalization's come of age over the last few years. And I think everybody agrees that personalization increases engagement, increases user satisfaction, and increases revenue. In fact, what we've seen so far is, even on Amazon.com, 30% of page views in Amazon are from recommendations. So when you look at all the page views and you look at the ones which actually come from a recommended widget, it's actually a very significant number. So people who come stay because there is something there that interests them, but also something that Amazon recommends to them. Similarly, if you look at video on demand services, you'll see that a lot of the views that they get are from some recommendation or the other. I think everybody has seen the power of recommendation, especially when it comes to video watching, right? However, for an organization which doesn't have a 100+ person personalization team, personalization is really difficult, especially really difficult to get it right, right? You can do some personalization, but can you do personalization really well? And really good personalization solves a lot of difficult and hard problems. Some of the problems which you have if you do personalization, you will realize instantly that this is hard to do, is starting with real-time personalization. So classic example, let's say I'm on YouTube and I'm watching a Trump video, or I'm on Amazon and I'm reading a review for a particular book. Regardless of what your user activity was, let's say I'm suddenly changed my mind and I want to read about science fiction books. What I want is more science fiction books, right, at that time. I want something which actually changes in real time. So real-time personalization is difficult because you have to compute in real time, based on a user's session, what the right things for the person to see are. A lot of personalization algorithms end up just showing popular items. It's easy to just show the top 10 items and be like, it's personalized, but in fact, it's not. It's just the top 10 most popular things. What you really want to do with good personalization is actually show the right thing for the right user at the right time. And of course, there's the problem of cold start. By definition, machine learning works really well if you have a lot of historic data, right? If you don't have historic data, or if you don't know who the users are, how would you personalize for them? This is a really hard problem in personalization, and it's something which you have to think a little bit about on how to effectively handle new users. Scale. Now, unlike most other kind of domains, personalization has a lot of scale really quickly. Here's why. If you have 100,000 users, and if they have like 50 interactions a day, we're already talking about 50 multiplied by 100,000 users on a daily basis, right? But then we're talking about companies who have like 3 or 4 or 5 million users. And now if they have 50 interactions a day, we come up to 250 million or 500 million interactions that the personalization algorithm has to handle. So scale is difficult. So these are problems which we've heard from AWS customers, and they've basically come to us and said, hey, look, these are really, really difficult issues. What can AWS do to solve it? And the other thing we noticed over time, especially working through some of the personalization algorithms, as well as the properties on which these personalization algorithms we've deployed, is that simple personalization algorithms and rule-based systems clearly don't scale well. Take, for example, Amazon Music. Amazon Music has over 1 million items in its catalog. If you just had a simple rule-based system which said, hey, for teenagers, show Ariana Grande, it probably won't scale really well. The other thing, which especially if you have a lot of items, you realize just really quickly is as you get more data, your performance, your algorithm performance doesn't necessarily improve. So it doesn't scale kind of linearly, right? The more data you get, your algorithm is only doing as well as it can. However, the newer deep learning algorithms actually can take more of this data and actually detect more patterns and make for better personalization. So one of the reasons we, at least in Amazon, are quite excited by deep learning and personalization is that you actually get that lift. And for most customer-obsessed companies, as well as for companies which deal with end users, increasing user engagement and increasing revenue is really important. So if you can take that extra data and actually put it to use and increase user engagement and revenue, you want to. So based on all of these kinds of learnings that we had both from AWS customers as well as from some of the technology that we've developed at Amazon as well as from our personalization team, we decided, hey, look, here we have a bunch of customers who have this personalization problems that they'd like to solve, and here we're developing all this great technology that we would like to package. We should package it together and create a new service. And so we're very happy today to introduce Amazon Personalize, which is our real-time personalization and recommendation service, which is based on the machine learning technology used by Amazon. Now, what's so great about Amazon Personalize, right? Well, one of the most interesting things I believe Amazon Personalize gets to all AWS customers is those state-of-the-art deep learning algorithms that I just talked about and provided examples for to you guys. So you can easily develop your own personalization model based on a deep learning algorithm which comes pre-built as part of Amazon Personalize, and actually deploy that model onto your website or to your mobile app. The other part of this is you don't need to know machine learning. Anybody who is a machine learning scientist knows that there is a lot of heavy lifting involved in machine learning, and there's a lot of kind of tweaking to get things right? So what we've done with Amazon Personalize is added some AutoML capabilities so that we automate the entire process of machine learning. So you or your developers don't have to be kind of PhDs with a lot of ML expertise to start using Amazon Personalize. You can do that. You can basically start using it pretty much on day one and just using a few APIs to get going. Finally, Amazon Personalize brings real-time personalized recommendations. We solve the very hard, very difficult systems problem that pretty much all companies have when it comes to dealing with millions, if not billions, of interactions a day. How do you deal with that effectively? How do you deal with the infrastructure which goes with it? How do you deal with kind of building real-time caches for it? All of that gets solved for you, and all of that is kind of abstracted away behind a couple of API calls. So when we started building Amazon Personalize, we were like, look, personalization is a really broad, big space. What are we going to do? Are we going to do something very specific where we actually attack a particular problem, or do we want to actually build a service which actually satisfies multiple different people? We decided to go with the latter, right? And we said, hey, what can we do which actually satisfies most of the use cases that we're seeing? And so Amazon Personalize, from day one, will support 4 important and really useful use cases. The first one is personalized recommendations. This is the recommended for you widget that you see pretty much on every website, right? It's basically saying, based on who the user is, give them the most relevant items. Then there's related items. This is, I mean, some people call it similar items. But again, you've seen this on Apple TV, you've seen it on, you've seen it on everything you use, whether it's devices or whether you use websites or apps. You want to have related items, and ideally you want to have these related items personalized. So if you're watching an action movie, and you like Brad Pitt, ideally you want to be, shown related items which are, kind of like similar to action movies who have Brad Pitt in it. So let's say, this gentleman here actually likes George Clooney, and he's like on an action movie page, and it would be good to show him George Clooney-based action movies, right? So being personalized and related items is actually a really powerful thing, and it's something which we're very excited to announce with Amazon Personalize. Search ranking. Now, typical search results are not personalized, right? But if you actually could personalize them, and the classic example is shoes. Right? If a woman is like searching for shoes, it would be great to show her shoes which are like high heels or platforms. And if a guy is searching for shoes, it would be great to show him guy shoes. So if you could do search ranking, and if you own a retail website or any other website which does search, the lift from search because of personalization is really high. Finally, notifications. The only way to get back your users, sometimes, especially the dead ones, is through a notification. A personalized notification is a lot more effective than a notification which is not personalized. In fact, you will see a lift around 30 to 40% in click-through rate if you actually send a personalized notification, right? So there is a significant lift there. So Amazon Personalize basically supports all of these 4 use cases. We're very proud of that, particularly because we think these use cases are actually quite disparate. And being able to package all that in one service is what makes the team very proud. Second thing is domains. Personalization can be applied to a bunch of different domains: retail, video on demand, news, travel, and so on. So again, from day one, we'll be able to support all of these different domains. So regardless of which specific industry you work in, Amazon Personalize can actually support your particular industry and domain, partly because we're able to take in all of these different types of data sets and create personalized algorithms for you. So let me quickly give you the overview here, where I just said, hey, we're going to be able to take in all of these different data sets. So the first step, usually using Amazon Personalize, is preparing your data. You upload it using the Personalize API. So this is mainly, the key data here that we care about is your user interaction data, right? User X clicked on item Y, or user X viewed item Y. That's pretty much it. And pretty much everyone has that data, right? Everybody has user interaction data, and that's what we're going to look at, and we're going to take. We're going to take that with a simple API. There's a couple of API calls you'll have to do to set up your data sets. We can have your data imported to us on a schedule. So this is something which we're really happy about, meaning you don't have to think about all the heavy lifting of having to give us the data every single time. You can set up a scheduled timer and drop your data into an S3 bucket. We'll pick it up automatically. Next step is to take your data and train a model. Now, this is really important, too, because we actually train custom models based on your data. Now, this is one thing which I want to point out here. Amazon Personalize is one of the few, if not probably the only service that we know right now which actually creates a custom deep learning model based on your data set. So if you look at the industry right now, and if you look at all the machine learning services that are around, most of them basically work with pre-trained models, right? That's basically saying, hey, I'm going to go train a model. We already know how this model will work. And then you can use a simple API and get results. Amazon Personalize goes one step further. It takes your data and creates a custom model based on your data. And the best models, of course, are based on your data, right? So you can actually literally create a deep learning model on the fly with a couple of API calls. You can easily modify a bunch of different parameters as part of Amazon Personalize, especially when you're creating these algorithms. It's not very set, meaning that it's not, for the people who don't want to deal with the nitty-gritty of machine learning, you can easily use an API call and that API call has only a few required parameters. But if you do want to get into the details, if you do want to change a lot of these parameters, and if you understand what each parameter is about, each of the algorithms have over 20 plus parameters that we provide that you can tweak. So if you're one of those like, hey, I'm an expert machine learning scientist, you can still use Amazon Personalize and create literally hundreds of models a day, and we're not kidding, hundreds of models a day, and kind of compare these models, see which one works best for you. You can use any of our algorithms that come pre-built, and then decide which algorithm works best for your data set, again, with a couple of API calls. Finally, we can actually retrain continuously. So once you decide, hey, this is my favorite algorithm, and this is the way my model is going to look like, my personalization model, you can set up a retraining schedule, and we'll actually retrain on an ongoing basis. Now, this is, again, something which is very unique to this service, because most other services, you'll have to go by hand and retrain it, and it takes a lot of effort to go back and forth on that. The other thing is, because we have real-time data, personalization, you have to consume real-time data, right? So, and you have to do this all in a few milliseconds. So we have a bunch of APIs, the JavaScript SDK, a server-side SDK, and which you can also use on the phone, and you can actually feed us data in real time. And we're pretty proud of this, because what this actually does is, let's say a user clicked on a particular item, like literally right now. In a few minutes, the personalization model will pick up what item they clicked on and readjust recommendations in almost real time. Very, very few places actually have custom native systems which do this. So being able to bring this to you is something which, clearly we believe is differentiating, as well as will make your personalization much better. So once you have the data, real time as well as historic, which you can, I said, bring as part of your schedule, you can then choose a pre-existing algorithm, or you can use AutoML to get Personalized to pick the right algorithm for you. So AutoML here is the process of Amazon Personalize, going through and picking the right algorithm by training multiple different models and picking the model which fits your data set. And you can train a deep learning model with 2 API calls. Finally, once your model is trained, you can actually run a bunch of different metrics. If you like the metrics you see, you choose that model, and you can launch it as a campaign. And what does that do? That basically takes that model, deploys that model, hosts that, and also builds all the underlying personalization infrastructure that goes with the model, so that now all you have to do is to call get recommendations, which is an API call from your app to get recommendations. So you deploy the model, and then you actually integrate get recommendations or get personalized results for search, and you can actually start getting recommendations. We just talked about this a little bit. We deliver personalized recommendations in production. So this is production scale. It takes away a lot of the heavy lifting that is required. And from your web server, all you have to do is to give us this inference query, and we give you recommendations back. Finally, we have a very easy to use and intuitive dashboard, as with all other AWS products. We have a console. And from Amazon Personalize, you can hit the console and pretty much do all the stuff that I just talked about right from the console. The console has 4 different important aspects: upload data sets. These are historical data sets. The real-time ingestion that I talked about right now. And after that, you can start training solutions, where you're basically training your model, and then you can launch campaigns. From the console itself, you can test each of these different models. So once you say train your model, which we call a solution, and once you've deployed it, you can actually literally enter a username and actually see what recommendations you get. All this without having to go off and write pretty much a single line of code, right? This whole thing was on the console, and you can do the thing end to end. We have a few beta customers who've been trying out Amazon Personalize. And in fact, we're very lucky to have 2 of them come and speak to you today. And we also have a quote from Sony, who's also been using Amazon Personalize along with Amazon SageMaker. And they're using this actually in a little bit of a different use case here. They're using Amazon SageMaker to get their own custom algorithm. So if you have your own algorithms, you can also plug and play that into Amazon Personalize. It's a feature called Bring Your Own Recipe, which is also packaged into this product. And now I'm it's my pleasure to announce Murali, who's our senior machine learning scientist, as well as an inventor of one of these really cool algorithms, which is part of Amazon Personalize. He'll tell you a lot more about it. Thanks.
Thanks, Bindu. Hello, everyone. So, despite the title, I'm not going to be able to go through all the science of personalization in 5 minutes. So, but what I will try to do is give a quick overview of some of the intuition behind the algorithms that seem to work well in practice and some of the ones that we've included in Amazon Personalize. So the fundamental insight behind personalization, seems reasonably obvious, is that the evolution of historical interest and disinterest patterns that a user shows is a good indicator of what they will do in the future. This is, reasonably obvious, and people have been trying different ways of capturing these application data specific patterns using different kinds of machine learning models. What I mean by application data specific here is that the actual patterns depend on a particular application, how the website is designed, how customers tend to interact with your service, and so on. The insight that's kind of slightly more new is that the order and timing of these interactions matters a lot more than we thought it used to. So what that means is that if there's a large gap between two interactions, then maybe that interaction is less relevant anymore. And to kind of show this pictorially, we can think about a customer who's looked at 3 watches and then after some delay looked at a shoe. Then it's reasonable to now recommend shoes to them, maybe less reasonable to go back and recommend watches. But if the pattern reversed, that is, first they looked at a shoe and then watches, maybe now you want to recommend shoes. So how do you do this in machine learning? So the typical approach is you take the historical interactions, which is the stuff on the left, and then you featurize this in some way. So maybe you look at features of color, size, shape, category, and so on. And then you pass it through a machine learning model, which tries to predict the next item. Right? The next item is, in this case, a watch. So the thing is then now you want to figure out how do you capture the time. So you try to encode time in different ways. You say, an interaction more than 1 hour ago is less useful. So this kind of feature engineering becomes harder and harder the more variety that you have in your catalog and data sets. So this is where things like deep learning are much more useful. The first kind of models that you would want to try on such data sets are what are called recurrent neural networks. So recurrent neural networks basically give you a good way of learning features that represent items well and learning how the order matters. So given a reasonably large data set of a sequence of interactions, they get better and better at building what I would call a user representation, that is encoding this entire history well. And this user representation can be used to predict what the customer will purchase next. Typically, coding such models, training them, scaling them is reasonably hard. So this is like one of the first models that we include out of the box in Amazon Personalize as a recurrent recommender. But just capturing sequence information is not quite enough. There's this concept which I call sessions, but is slightly more generic than that. And the idea being that customer interests and behavior have evolution over time. So maybe you are interested in watches for a while until you buy the watch. And then you start getting interested in shoes, and you want to buy the shoe. Right? So you want to be able to capture this. So the network has to both learn to remember stuff and learn to forget certain interests once the purchase or interaction is done. Right? So the way we do this is something called a hierarchical recurrent neural network. And the basic idea is that there is a recurrent neural network for every session, or every day, every week, month, or other time period. And there's another recurrent neural network which models this evolution of interests. And this, again, is reasonably hard to implement and scale, which is why it's, again, presented out of the box in Amazon Personalize. So personalization and recommendation are well-studied tasks. People have been trying these things for a while. So what's interesting is that adding this concept of hierarchies actually gives you a lift on these kind of public data sets, which people have had papers on over many, many years. It turns out that these same models are useful on a variety of data sets, both public and private, and for a variety of tasks. So this particular task is rating prediction, which is, you have a sequence of ratings people give movies, and you want to predict what's the rating they'll give to a new movie. But what we often care about is, will they buy something next? Or how good is this recommendation? And it turns out that these models are good at also all of these other tasks as well. And we have a paper about it presenting next week. But the basic idea is that the single idea of hierarchies and time allows you to get state-of-the-art performance on a variety of data sets. But at the same time, once you have so many models, so we have a bunch of other models out of the box. Again, in Amazon Personalize, we have something called SIMS, which, if you know what it means, is a item-to-item recommendation system. It just basically looks at what is the time distance between two items that you interact with. So this has a parameter of time decay. So, at some point, I should forget that like maybe if you have not come back to the site for a year, I should not recommend the last thing that you looked at. So this has parameters like time decay. If you have deep factorization models, they have parameters like depth and size. Hierarchical networks now have a new parameter, which is height. So setting all these parameters on a data set is very hard, time-consuming, and so on. And as Bindu mentioned, we do a lot of HPO and AutoML out of the box so that you don't have to tune these parameters on your new data set, but you still get the best algorithm out of these with the best set of parameters. So just to quickly conclude, so why should you care about Amazon Personalize? The first one is that these hierarchical sequential models tend to do well on a variety of data sets for a variety of tasks. And we provide stable solutions for these out of the box, which already include many of the tricks from deep learning practitioners. And second, we have the AutoML and HPO, which tune these models on your data so that you get the best possible performance. And finally, I want to highlight that personalization and recommendation are active research areas still, and you might still need to do something special on your data. So we do have the ability for you to code up your own algorithm and provide it. And this we call bring your own recommender. And this is automatically integrated into the rest of the service. So you still don't have to worry about scheduling the training, updates, serving the model, and so on. So with that, I'll invite Malika.
So hi, everyone. I am Malika Krishnamurthy. I'm the Global Head of Strategy and Insights for Domino's Pizza Enterprises. Domino's Pizza Enterprises, you may ask, what is that? Well, we are headquartered in Australia, and we are the largest franchisee within the Domino's Pizza brand worldwide. We are located across 8 countries, and we have over 2,400 stores. We have the largest market share, and we're also the largest player in pizza, both in terms of network store numbers, as well as network sales. In terms of our vision, it is leading the Internet of food in every neighborhood. And to achieve this, there has been an ongoing commitment to focusing on being at the forefront of technological innovation that is there to improve the customer's experience. And so in 2015, we launched GPS Driver Tracker. It is an app that allows a customer to track their pizza from the store to their door. The purpose of this innovation was actually, the primary purpose was security of the driver. However, another benefit to the customer in this instance is that it saves them time, because they know where their pizza is on the journey, and they can be doing other things while they're waiting. More recently, we launched drone deliveries. These autonomous delivery vehicles add to our fleet of delivery methods. And just a couple of weeks ago, we launched Pizza Chef with augmented reality. Now, this is pretty cool because it allows a customer to drag and drop toppings onto their pizza. Now, it's not only fun and engaging, but it actually enables the customer to visualize their pizza as true to life as possible online. So, how we communicate with our customers through technological advancements in AI and machine learning is something that, as a business, we have been actively exploring. And we utilize our own media channels to reach our customers. And we're very fortunate because our customer base is very active and engaged. So while we continue to focus on growing our customer base, we also recognize that we have a huge opportunity to personalize and make our communications far more relevant to our existing customers. 60% of our orders, so pizza orders, are made online. So we've been collecting a lot of rich data about who our customers are and how they behave over a number of years. Today, we're sending our customers SMSs, EDMs, and push notifications, but the process for targeting is actually quite manual. And what we really required, and we recognized this a while ago, was that automation to enable scale and machine learning so that we have the intelligence behind our targeting. So I'm going to talk about two recent tests that we undertook and some of the results we've seen. So we've actually been on this journey, just to put this into context, we've been on this journey with AWS for 3 weeks. So we have been running, and we have a few results. We've run 5 tests to date, and one of the tests was a time-based test. So our hypothesis was that time of day when a customer receives an SMS actually matters. And there's a higher propensity for them to click on the SMS if it's sent at a more relevant time for them. So we had our test groups and our control groups. And our control group received the SMS at the regular time that they normally receive it. Our test group, actually, we based it on historical data. We were able to leverage the Personalize platform to start to target our customers based on their historical behavior. So the SMSs were sent at different times throughout the day. Now, we saw a small uplift in conversion as a result of this, but the really interesting finding was that we saw that with our test group, they actually clicked on the SMS on average 33 minutes sooner than the control group. So between the send and clicking, on average, the control group took about 88 minutes. The test group took 55. So what it's suggesting to us is that the time of the communication is becoming a little bit more relevant to the customer. And that leads to the opportunity to start personalizing those messages as we can get more refined with the time of day that we're sending the SMS to the customer. Now, the other test that we ran that had some good results was the personalization of our deals. Now, this is for illustrative purposes, the image that I'm sharing, because the test was actually done via SMS. And so again, if you imagine a family of 4 receiving a bundle deal of 3 pizzas, a drink, and a garlic bread, but that deal potentially going to a person who is single, living alone, isn't really quite that relevant. So what we were able to do is, again, using historical data, feeding it through Personalize, the Personalize platform, we were able to start targeting our customers based on the most relevant deals to them. We saw an improvement in conversion of 0.07%, which is meaningful within our business. So some of the challenges that we've experienced to date, really the main challenge for us has been time. We've been doing this for 3 weeks. We've been building and testing on the fly. And so, but I think that on the flip side, it's a testament to the platform and the AWS team in Brisbane and Seattle and the data scientists at Domino's that we've actually been able to realize some results so quickly. So now, our journey is to continue. We're going to have to test a lot more. And the reason that we have actually chosen to work with AWS is because they align with our values. And you know, in terms of those values, we are very much a fast-fail company, and we wanted to work with a company that will embrace that philosophy, a company that would go on the journey with us and let us imagine the impossible, and AWS absolutely is that partner. And then finally, we were looking for a partner who puts the customer at the heart of everything they do. So that customer centricity is incredibly important to us, and we see that day in and day out with AWS as well. So on that note, I'd like to end, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mike?
Thank you. So everybody's hungry now, right? I'm Mike Patland. I'm the CTO of RB Media and Recorded Books. Recorded Books has been around since 1979, so we've been around for quite a while doing audiobooks. Started out on cassettes, and as we've expanded out and actually bought more publishers, we changed our name over to RB Media. We're a global company. We actually produce probably the most audiobooks of any publisher out there today. If you look down the right-hand side, Tantor Audio, Christian Audio, Gildan, Highbridge, we'll end up producing over 4,500 audiobooks this next year. As we go through the other side, WF House is in the UK, Wave Sound is in Australia. We'll produce, with Recorded Books, over another 2,000 titles. So well over 6,000 audiobooks a year at this point. We've got over 35,000 titles that we put out. Go ahead. Today we're going to, if this clicker works, talk about RB Digital. RB Digital is a media delivery platform that we built out. I was actually hired to build this out for audiobook delivery. We went from cassettes to CDs, and then we've moved on now to digital delivery. We work with libraries. I've got a few of them listed out in the upper corner. A little bit different model there. Basically, you'll have consortia sharing titles down to a system, and then from that system, it'll share down to the actual branches. And at each level, they can actually purchase books. So we need to recommend books that are owned by that library at each level if they have a website, wherever that user logs into. So we do have ownership issues that we work around there. We have grown quite a bit. You'll see 50% higher circulation growth over last year. This year, we expect that to be over 60% higher checkouts by those libraries. We are moving into more into other VR partners, into SVOD and different things like that. So you see audiobooks, ebooks, magazines, comics, streaming video, and that SVOD for education, health and wellness. Partners like Acorn TV or Stingray Quello concert videos on the entertainment side. Health and wellness is Learn It Live. So there's a few different partners that we use to actually deliver some of that content. But the idea is to pull all that information together as we move forward. Current recommendations, as it was mentioned in some of the others, is pretty simple. It's our most popular titles. So like everybody else, we pop those up. You don't have to worry about cold start because you're always at a cold start, right? But hopefully, once we actually get this going, we'll pass some of those challenges and we'll see more. It is today based on genre. The user is actually asked. We start out with romance and mystery, and we move on after we ask them which genres they like. We bring up books based on that. We do remove what they previously check out. Some of the challenges, no personalization. It is purely based on those most popular books being brought out. One of my board members about a month ago said, if you serve me up another romance title, I know this project's dead. So we've seen some really good results. We'll cover that here shortly. But we did check the box for marketing, but I don't believe that we've checked the box for our product as a whole without that personalization actually coming down to that person. So the goals that we look at for a new recommendation engine, obviously quick to market. We've checked that box for marketing, so it's a lot harder to get more investment in there. So I needed something that didn't require a data scientist. We don't have a lot on staff. I do have one guy that's in school for it, which is very, very helpful. But I needed something that I could deliver with developers right away. So we got in contact with AWS, and they helped us out a lot. It needed to be low cost. Obviously, we needed to hook into our API integration that we deal with services based for all of our platform. And we needed it to load up real time. We couldn't have big batch jobs running at night. We wanted recommendations to change on the fly, so we didn't want to be in that batch model. Number one, obviously, we wanted it personalized. We didn't want to show for a week the exact same recommendations that everybody saw. What are the best-selling titles or the most used, most popular titles? It doesn't change as often as we would like. So we'd like that interaction, real time. We definitely want to deal with the preferences, make sure that we're delivering the actual titles that they want to improve that recommendation so that's more real time. And obviously, we wanted it to be flexible. As we add in more formats with the different SVODs, we just added in comics. As we expand out our business, we need to be able to adjust that model very quickly. So Amazon Personalize. So goals achieved. We started about a month ago. Similar story. Very, very quick. I've got one developer on this, part-time, about 20% maybe, working on this. We needed something very quick. I could do Black Ops, just pull off a developer to work on and see results. Once we actually get results, then we can invest more. So my executive team obviously wants to see that right away. We didn't need a data scientist. You've seen how easy the console is. You can run a notebook, Jupyter notebook, and basically go down through the steps as well. But you are truly loading data between products, users, and interactions. It's very, very quick and easy. In less than a week, you can have this data up. The data is actually one of the tougher parts as I'll go through. You're only paying for the pieces that you use. So when it's not in use, obviously you're not getting charged. They're handing you the JavaScript and the SDKs to drop this in so that it's real-time integration. So it's very lightweight as far as how you're dropping things in. We actually do facade the APIs because we're doing some additional manipulation as it goes through, but you have full control over it. That's really the main point is this is a good service. It's a great building block that you can add on to and you have control over. We have quite a few different libraries and we have different ownership, as I mentioned. We wanted to pull all those together. So if I have somebody that happens to live in New York or lives in Texas, but they listen to the same stuff. If it's a sci-fi user, I want to hit all my libraries across all of my platform, pull back recommendations based on just that user. So we get that now. When I looked at this before, we were actually didn't have the capacity from the compute point of view to actually pull back that data and then filter it down to available titles because it's a library model. It's checkouts with a hold list. We want something that they can check out right away, read or listen right away. So we do a little bit different. We're mixing the models here, so we actually do get it personalized for that person. You need scalable. Everybody here knows Amazon is scalable across the board. Luckily, we're leveraging that. Obviously, there's some auto-sizing. Andy, I think, talked about it this morning in the keynote. They're looking at more auto-sizing around ML, which is good. Fast learning, they scale up many computers behind the scenes to actually do this very quickly. So obviously, this will handle our load as it uses the different pieces. This slide, I like hands-on data. I like to see the results. This graph shows very well that we're much better than what we were before. In the slide you saw earlier tonight from them, statistically, we're so much better. And I'm like, show me, proof's in the pudding, right? Show me what this thing can do. We loaded up our data. We didn't load up genres on our books. So based on a patron ID, interactions, and an ISBN. So we had a book, we had a user, and the interactions there between that. We loaded up the data. We pulled back data because I wanted to see some value. I'm like, I want my own data. I want to see the results. I looked through that patron's history, and we looked at the results, and it matched up just awesome. Told me exact books in that genre, and I was really impressed. When you look at this, it was about 5x. So instead of 2 books that were good out of 25 in our carousel, we're looking at 10 books. I mean, that's an amazing difference in what you're getting back in results over just most popular. I was surprised. I thought, man, we're doing pretty good with checking the box. But this was truly amazing, the difference in the result that we got back. Once we add in the real time, it'll learn interactions real time. We should actually see that change much more dynamically. We haven't gotten there yet. The next step for us is to implement this. We're definitely planning on doing that because it's tremendously better in the results visually to the person, not just statistically. So that was key for me. Future flexibility. Definitely looking at different models, the different recipes that are there. We'll use the Sims model for pulling back books like this book. We'll use the hierarchical, it's not nearest neighbor, neural network to pull back the other. Obviously, I'm not a data scientist, and I love this product because it's quick and simple, and you just walk through the steps and load up your data, and you're getting results of a professional recommendation engine very quickly without that deep knowledge. Now, they do, as they mentioned, they have lots of different things that you can tweak and manipulate those models a little bit. And we are loading up a weighting based on if someone puts it on a wish list versus they checked out the book versus they read the whole book. So we do want to balance that out and influence those weights just a little bit. So I wanted to just go over a basic process. When you're bringing this to your executive team, as a good CEO once told me, what problem are you trying to solve? Don't give me the answer and try and find a problem. Figure out your problem. What are you trying to solve? And bring this forward. Now, this isn't just recommendations of books. It's anything that you want to curate and bring up behind the scenes. And sometimes you may even want to put a person in front of that reviews that data and adds that personal touch. But instead of doing hours and hours of research, they get the answer instantly, and then they can present that as a custom curated list out to their users. So even if you add in a little human dimension to it, this is a powerful tool that'll speed up your business dramatically. Figure out what data you're going to load. Keep it simple. Keep it down to IDs. You don't need a lot of words. You don't need names, email addresses, unless that's your username. Keep it light. Load up some data. Run the different recipes. Play with this a little bit. See the different results. Learn about the statistics that come back out of that. It's data-driven. It'll help you out a lot on figuring out what works best. And then test it, see that visually, how that comes out. Once you figure out where you're going, walk down through the notebook or walk through the console, just make sure you understand the steps before you start, then walk down through it. It's very quick, very simple to set this up. It's an amazing product. And then, train it, test it, see those outputs. And then operationalize that data. And that's the step that we're at right now. We want to hook this into our APIs, make sure that we bring it live. So, kind of wrap up, this was a win for IT. We get to go back to the executive team and say, hey, we're doing machine learning. We have AI in our platform now. That's a nice check the box for IT, and it's a nice win. We give our users truly personalized results, makes them very happy. Our libraries are happy because they've got a tool now. You've seen the difference in the video and things like that, where it's improved, and most people do check on that recommended. If we actually get there to where we're getting most of our clicks on recommended, I'll be very, very happy. And so will our libraries that purchase our platform. And then obviously that creates a competitive advantage for recorded books and RB Digital. And that's comes back in ROI. We get more libraries that use us, we sell more titles, and we open this up. So I want to thank AWS for helping us out with this. I've been wanting to do a recommendation engine for a very long time, and now it's coming together. And I tell you, it teaches a lot about SageMaker as well. I looked at it last year, I'm like, TensorFlow, MXNet, I was lost in the terms. For me, it's been a while since I've coded. This just brought it together, made it really simple and straightforward. So have fun, guys. Thank you. Indu?
So, can I thank you so much, both Malika and Mike. And thanks to all of you guys, actually, to me, for making it to this really late session. But you can sign up for limited preview today. So you can go to aws.amazon.com, personalize. You just have to fill out a really simple form. We'll be able to whitelist you very shortly. And we're really looking for customers. So we're happy to take your, take your submissions and whitelist you very shortly. And finally, you can complete the session survey in the mobile app. Thanks for coming, and hope you have a great